Okay, we are live on the air. This is Group 9 discussing the Army crew team.
Red leader standing by.
All right.
Sorry.
I'll be
No, that was
the
cool.
coxswain. So I really enjoyed this particular case study, probably because I read the book The Boys in the Boat a couple months ago.
Oh.
That was about the crew team from the University of Washington who made it to the Olympics in 1934 when they were held in Berlin, Germany.
Oh, cool.
Is that the video we watched?
No, that one was about the Canadian team.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, it's a book I'd highly recommend. It was really interesting, and it kind of got me interested in crew. And then a couple weeks ago, for one of our team outings, we went on a cruise in Lake Washington, and we saw where that team actually trained and raced. And even now, the University of Washington still trains there. So we got to go in the channel where they race. So
what was
anyway,
the name of that book again?
The Boys in the Boat.
Thanks.
Sure. It's a biography, but it's really good. You know, if you read Unbroken, it's kind of that style where you know they got input from the main character and then they wrote the book.
That's very cool.
Okay, so the way this works, I don't know if you guys did the discussion prep for the discussion leader, or you just said, oh good, Melanie's doing that, I'm not even going to look at it, which is fine too. But how it's set up is it's broken down into 5 different parts, and each part, the suggested discussion on it is about 10 to 15 minutes or so.
Okay.
But we'll see. So the first question that I want to ask is, why do you think that the varsity team was losing to the JV team?
So, sorry, I hope I don't catch up on anything, Matt. So the biggest thing that stood out to me during this whole, the whole time, when they talked about how the JV kept beating the varsity, even though the varsity had the stronger players, was the JV team was more unified. What was their, gosh, I forget what their slogan was, but it was like, like we can't lose or
nothing to lose.
Yes, yeah, but like they were more unified. They weren't like tearing each other down like the varsity team was. And I kind of took that into like, you're as strong as your weakest link, and which is also mentioned. But the thing is like, when they're racing, they have to be mentally focused and physically focused and everything. And if I'm sitting there in my mind being like, so-and-so up there isn't rowing as fast as I am, then I'm not nearly, I'm not mentally focused and everything like that, and that's getting off of that precision that they need when they're rowing. And so that's what I put. I hope I'm not getting off topic, but that's why I put why I thought the JV team was better, is because they were unified. They didn't have that whole, that whole issue like the varsity team did in that manner.
Yeah, to add a little bit to that, I thought it was it was very telling that out of the 3 categories of the experienced coaches, you had your beginner, intermediate, and professional, or what was the word they used, something like that. But the advanced coach said that it was all psychological, and that there was a practice that they did where they would row during practice with their eyes closed, so that they could get the feel of the rhythm and be there psychologically, almost like a Zen kind of a thing. So that's probably, I felt like that's the advantage that they had over the varsity team, probably.
One of the things that I thought of when it was talking about all the conflict between the varsity, particularly when the coach had encouraged the teams to email each other to help them bond, that not to send any negative emails to each other, and yet the coach was receiving negative emails about other members of the varsity team from
Yeah.
a lot of spiteful back and forth, a lot of blame that was happening. And I thought of that scripture about the mote in the eye. You see the beam in somebody else's eye, but you don't see the mote in your own. Or
Yeah.
I may have it backwards. But the varsity members were so willing to put the blame on everybody else, it couldn't possibly be their own fault.
Yeah.
I don't mean to cut you guys off, but I just got a thing that says Leslie said something.
Yeah, me too. She's trying to do another separate video call, I think.
Oh. Is there any way we can just try to add her? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut off.
No, it's all right.
No, that's fine. I can. You want me to
Sure.
send her another invitation?
Yeah, that way she can be a part of it, so.
It takes just a minute. Seems like the computer just runs a lot slower when it's doing the Hangout.
Oh, yeah. A lot of stuff to process.
Okay, so I sent another invitation to her.
Okay, I'll type that to her.
Oh, good. Leslie is joining. Here she comes.
Hello, Leslie.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Are you able to see me or no?
I can see your picture.
Not yet.
Oh.
Just a picture with circles coming out of it.
Okay.
That just means she's talking.
Yeah, or you're sitting really still.
Yeah, really, huh?
There you go. But we can hear you fine, so that's good.
Well, how do I enable the camera? I tried. I don't know. Is there
I think
something I
it's-
need to do?
I think it's the upper. If you drag your mouse to the upper part of the screen, you'll see some icons. And one of them is turning your camera on and off.
Okay. Oh.
Oh.
There we go.
We have an image.
Hi.
Yay!
Here?
Yay! We can see you now.
All right.
There you go. So we had a lot of technical difficulties getting started today. I didn't realize there were two Matthew Moody's, and I was sending the invitation to the wrong one. So, so we just discussed the first question, or we've had input from the three of us, and so maybe we can get some input from you, Leslie, about why does the varsity team lose to the JV team?
I don't know. Wait, is that Melanie who's speaking?
Yes.
Oh, because it sounds like you're underwater. I don't know if that's my phone or if everyone's experiencing that.
I can hear her fine, so.
Yeah, I can hear. The picture's a little blurry, but I can hear you.
Oh, okay, so the audio's a little bit choppy for me, but I'll bear through it.
And my audio or my picture quality is also very choppy right now. It could be my internet connection. I'm not plugged into a Ethernet cable, so it could just be the Wi-Fi's going in and out.
Well, I can see all of you guys fine. Leslie is frozen now. Is she frozen for you guys?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
I'm frozen on my screen.
Okay, yeah, because I can see all of you. So.
And Melanie's is lagging like crazy.
See, and I think she's
Okay.
fine for me, so.
Let me see if I can get an Ethernet cable and plug in. Or my son could have just gotten home and jumped on the internet too. Keith, is Hunter on? No?
Stop binge watching Hunter.
Do we have a do we have an Ethernet cable? My internet's lagging. Only down there. Okay, I don't have one, but
Oh, we lost Leslie again.
oh, we did. I'll see if I can't get one for next week.
Okay, I think we can work with it this time. It's fine.
Well, my thing is whether or not I see you guys doesn't matter. It's just the hearing. So like,
Yeah.
if I can hear you guys fine, I don't care if your face freezes. I mean, if it might be entertaining you depending upon how it freezes. But so I mean, so to me the fact that doesn't matter. But if I can hear you, that's
Okay.
cool. Works for me.
I'm good with that. Maybe Leslie was going to try and sign onto a computer or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Cool. So what's the next?
Okay. So we were talking about the varsity members and how they engaged in a lot of conflict.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you think that the conflict was about? I mean, what was the root cause of the conflict, do you think?
Part of me almost wonders if it's like, maybe this is just me speaking out of turn, but I think that when you're put on a varsity team, you almost get this like air about you, like, oh, I'm varsity, and that can be, and I don't know, that's just my own opinion, but I can see how that can be difficult, or not difficult, but that can be an issue with other people. I don't know, it's just my own opinion.
I think that is a really good point, Kim, and I think also that do you think they let the rivalry kind of get to them a little bit, or maybe they were focusing a little bit too much on beating the other team rather than being a team together themselves?
So
I think so. That they were so, dang it, the JV is beating us again. We're trying our best, but they really weren't trying their best because they were dragging each other down.
Yeah.
I was just thinking of something. This is probably off topic, but it just made me think about it. So I don't know if you guys remember the story of when Jesus has all of his apostles around and he's sitting there and he goes, one of you will betray me. Instead of them all going like, it's so and so or it's so and so, they all looked and said, "Is it I? I mean, is it me that's going to do it?" But I just, maybe that's off topic. But I look back at the varsity team instead of going like, "Hey, like, well, come on, guys, like we're varsity, come on," Instead it was like, well, so and so, and and this and this. So.
Well, didn't Elder Bednar talk about that in that video we watched last week about leadership?
Oh,
that,
yeah.
That you need to ask yourself, is it I?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and instead they were so concerned about everybody else's performance, it couldn't possibly be their own fault.
Yeah. Yeah.
So scholars have identified two different types of conflict. One is a task conflict, and that's where people disagree about the task to be accomplished. And the other is affective conflict, where people have interpersonal conflict, where people get frustrated and angry with each other. And I kind of think that they were experiencing both types of conflict because there was the task of getting the boat from start to finish and winning, and they disagreed about how to accomplish it. They weren't working together as a team. And then
real quick, I was just going to say, if you guys have the article in front of you, at the bottom of page 9,
okay,
it describes a group meeting between them, which goes right in line with what Melanie was saying. So there's a subtitle, the group meeting, in the bottom section. Very last paragraph says, Coach P waited at the picnic table to observe his varsity rowers wander over to the table. The crew wouldn't even sit near each other. Some knelt on the grass, others stood, one laid flat, and the others took the four ends of the table as far apart as they could get. No one talked. Well, they were 4 days away from their competition. So there it is. That's one
They
conflict
couldn't even,
there.
right, they couldn't even be a team. And that's where you get the effective conflict, where they're having, they're frustrated and angry with each other.
Yeah.
I just thought that was so bizarre to me that this team couldn't come together. I mean, I know it talked about the different factors affecting it, like psychological, which I think is a huge, that's a huge part of athletic training, is getting your mind to, into what you're supposed to be doing and only focused on what you're supposed to be doing. A couple of my kids have done competitive rifle shooting, and they can psych themselves out so much, to where they totally have a snowbird shot off the target. They don't even hit the target because they've worked themselves up so much. They were overthinking it, and if you don't have it, if you don't have it in your head straight, then you're not going to get it straight anywhere else.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
I sell for Verizon. That's what I do for my full-time job, and we do a thing at my store called team selling, where if one of us is struggling with, just FYI, if you guys have Verizon and go into Verizon store, their job is to also sell you accessories with your phone. Shock, I know.
Yeah.
But so the goal is to try and make them applicable to the person and not just be greedy. But sometimes we'll help each other. We're on a sales team, but we are made up of individuals, and so if we all have the same goal and help each other, and maybe one of my sales reps has another way of approaching the situation than I do, then we need to be open to that and respond to each other. So I experienced that a little bit at my job too. And if somebody is all about me, and they're greedy and everything, then that disrupts the team. So it's kind of similar in a way. So,
what role do you think trust played in the problems the varsity crew faced?
There was no trust.
Yeah.
There was a lack of trust. And when they described the process of rowing, which I found really interesting because I've never really studied this or know a lot about it, is that if the trust has to be there, if one guy does miss a beat, the rest of them have to trust him to not react. Enough to not react, and then hope and trust that he's going to get back on beat and only take one row to do so.
Mm-hmm.
So that was interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting too, or just the fact that just with that precision that they have to know that everyone's going to do what they're supposed to do. So, I mean,
8 people's a lot of personalities to have to rein in. I think.
Very true. Very true.
You've got the eight people rowing, and you have to, one of the things that from the book that I read, during one, a really important race, one of their team members was really sick. Like, they thought they were going to have to, strap the kid in to the boat. The coach wanted to replace the kid, but the rest of the team was like, no, we need him to win. And, he was almost catatonic rowing, and, but there was that much trust that the other guys had in the boat that he was going to do his job. It didn't matter how deathly ill he was. He was going to do his job and do it right. And they did. They ended up winning the race, even though he was awfully sick. He was
Oh,
almost
jeez.
unconscious when they came in. You know what? I think this is Leslie. Hang on.
Okay.
Hello? Oh, you have the wrong number. Nope, that wasn't. It was a 208 number, so I thought it was maybe her. But
I
it
think
was.
she's or
Yeah,
something like that.
I think, yeah.
Well,
I think, Kim, you're the only one with the 208 number, right?
I am. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Born and raised in Idaho. Well, as you say, it's funny, when it talked about trust in the book, it said, let's see, because each member contributed to the team's effort of rowing, the crew was only as strong as its weakest link. Bring up your story. You would imagine that kid in the state he would be like a super weak link, but the fact that he had that trust in his team, he was strong, so therefore the rest of the team was strong. So I just like that part.
I'm trying to think, and maybe I missed this part going through the reading, but I mean, what could the coach have done? Because there is this section where he was kind of like what to do on page 9.
Uh-huh. Well, I think that the coach, he tried everything he could do. Everything that he could think of, every traditional, proven way to assess these boys, he did it. He mixed them up. He put them 2-on-2. He put them 4-on-4. He brought boys down to JV, brought JV boys up to varsity. He measured all of their stats for weightlifting and the stationary rowing, and he did everything he could think of to fix the physical problem. But every time it came back that my varsity boys, they are the cream of the crop.
Yeah.
And he also brought in that from the Olympic Training Center. He brought in a person from the Center for Enhanced Performance at West Point, who also tried to figure out what was going on. But it said, this is on page 7, kind of in the middle. Coach P was concerned about how it was received by the skeptical varsity members who labeled it as touchy-feely.
Oh boy.
So the team didn't even want to work together to solve the problem. It's like they didn't care enough to want to win. I mean, if you truly want to win, you're going to do everything in your power to further the cause and to win, and they just were not interested.
Yeah, even if it means doing something different than what you've been doing, it seemed like they weren't really willing to do that. For instance, on page 8, let's see here, you got a couple sentences at the top, but the first complete paragraph, 1, 2, 3, fourth paragraph down, it says, after every practice and race, the crews put away the equipment and conducted a self-critique. Coach P noticed that members of the varsity boat tended to critique each other individually on the details of the practice or race. They could be merciless in their assessment of one another's performance. In contrast, the JV boat's members did not criticize one another individually. If corrections were needed, they never singled out a single rower, but instead made global comments about details that everyone needed to practice. So 2 very different schools of thought there.
Well, and it seemed like the JV team also, they acted upon the suggestions. Where, if you are, and this was kind of goes along with that other reading that we did about the performance appraisals.
Yeah, that was very enlightening.
If somebody comes at you with a negative comment, you're automatically going to take it. You're going to take that comment as negative, whether or not the person intended it to be that way. You're just automatically going to internalize it and get upset and hostile over any criticism.
Have you guys ever been in a position like that? like through employment or anything like that? Been through a performance review?
I've been through a performance review, but it was really good.
Oh,
I see.
I see.
I've never really had a bad, I guess, a bad experience.
Oh, okay. I already mentioned I work for Verizon. I have them all the time, like all the time, and so that reading was extremely enlightening for me because we have a particular manager who doesn't really. He wants to use scare tactics actually to get people to perform. And
Oh gosh.
I just wish he could have read what I was reading. Because anyway,
Maybe you should make a copy of it and just leave it on his desk.
yeah, anonymously, yeah.
I'm not. Maybe it's just the type of person I am. I think for some people, maybe this is off topic, but I think for some people the scare tactics do work. I thought about this varsity team, because I thought, how would they feel if the coach came up to him and said, I've tried doing this with you guys, I can't get you guys to be unified, so I'm just going to give your spot to the JV team. Part of me wonders if that tactic, although abrupt as it may be, it could, change the boys' mindset to be like, hey, if we don't man up or do whatever we need to do, we're going to lose our chance to race. So yeah. I don't know. I think each thing has its place, but.
So you have the coach, that he calls a group meeting 4 days before the race. Would you say that was an intervention? And should, when would have been a better time to intervene with the situation?
Well,
go ahead, Matt.
Oh, I was just gonna say, did it mention how much experience Coach P had?
I don't think it does.
Out of the 3 different. Because my guess would be if he was a little more experienced, then he would see the first signs of trouble, and an intervention would be needed. I mean, by the time you're 4 days before, I think you're too late.
Yeah.
I mean, it would take a miracle to basically get it, or some kind of extreme team building exercise to get everybody in sync,
So when would have been a better time, based on the story? When would have been a better time to have intervened in the process?
I kind of think Matt said it, but I think as soon as he started, I think his thing is, I think as soon as he saw the JV team beat the varsity, he should have right then and there, okay, what's going on? Why is this team beating them? Because clearly they have, the varsity team is, according to all their different, their strength, what does it say, the ERG or whatever, I forget the different things they put them through. But, I think when he first saw the fact that the JV team was beating them, he should have right then and there been like, okay, what's going on? Because technically they shouldn't have been beat by the JV team at all. So.
Or maybe during the Atlanta retreat, maybe?
Well, see, that's when he was deciding who was going to be JV and who was varsity.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Was the Atlanta retreat. So I think, he was still testing everybody to see, what position they would do best in.
Well, and then the Atlanta retreat, they just did 4-person boats as opposed to 8. So, there would be different dynamics. So.
However, I've got to disagree with you, Kim, about intervening as soon as the JV was winning. Because as a leader, you want your team to be able to work out their own problems. You don't want to micromanage and step in and, it's like when my kids would fight. I'm the first one to jump right in as soon as I hear squawking, knock it off. But it's probably better to let them fight and try and resolve their own differences. But to let it go to 4 days before the race, I don't think that was the answer either.
Yeah. So I kind of agree that I don't agree with you. So I still think he should have maybe not intervened, but I think he should have made okay, what's going on? I need to, maybe if this continues, I need to look at something. As far as micromanaging, I don't know if that would be the appropriate thing, but I do stand by what I said about. I do appreciate your comments, but I do stand by the fact that I think that he should have either made a mental note or even been like, okay, maybe I should look at something differently back when he started seeing that happen.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I mean, just because he's making the thought like, hey, maybe I should keep an eye on this as, that could mean nothing, because he thinks he could get better, but just making that mental note is, I guess, what's more I was going with, but.
Oh, well, yeah, and I agree with making a mental note.
Yeah.
Definitely, you got to keep track, and I'm sure he took copious notes on what was going on because he couldn't figure out either.
Yeah.
He couldn't figure out what was going on, and so, just reading the case study, it sure sounded like it was on his mind a lot, trying to work through what was going on.
Very true.
Do you think it was a good idea that he would routinely encourage them to email? I don't know. It seems like an impersonal way. I don't know.
I thought that was kind of weird because, what am I going to email my teammates about? Like, hey, how was your day today? Do you feel like our conditioning went well? It just seemed kind of weird. I think that it maybe would have been more effective to maybe have some team building exercises outside of training.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe they go play a game of flag football, or they go take go-karts around a track, or just go do something fun and kind of step outside of the situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, but make sure that they're all there.
Right.
Physically there. And doing something that each has a part in, but require, I don't know, like maybe an a cappella group or something. I don't know, like something else they could all have a part in. Yeah, I don't know. My wife likes watching Pitch Perfect, so it's probably in my mind.
Well, I was bringing up movies again. Do you guys remember the Titans that came out? I don't know when, a while ago.
Yes. Remember the Titans? Yep.
Yes. So so in the show, because that was the African American playing with the white people, and that was not okay with them, And so his thing was like, you're gonna get to know each other, and until you get to know each other, we're gonna do 4 practices a day, and then we get to know each other, it goes into 3 practices a day, and that was kind of like a rough team building thing, but it was something that they could do to get along and build themselves together. So.
Yeah, that's a good example.
So maybe a different team building exercise would have been better than email.
Like a cappella.
Yes! You should write that. No, I'm just kidding. This is what we thought specifically would work.
We thought that they should have an a cappella competition.
I'm sure there's something clever they can name themselves about rowing and music or something.
You can do like the we will. No, I'm just kidding. It's a good beat to row to.
It is.
There you go. Hey, and maybe that's a solution too, and not even being silly, but finding a piece of music that has the same beat that they need to row to. I mean, think about, a lot of people work out and listen to music because it helps them to run or do whatever. But maybe that is a solution. I like that.
Yeah. Now we can thank your wife for that suggestion.
So, what do you think that the coach should do now? I mean, he's got 4 days. He's had this group meeting with the varsity team that didn't go very well, and he's got 4 days to decide what he needs to do with the race. What do you think he should do? Should he race JV or should he let varsity?
Well, I think if he wants to win, he's either going to have to let the JV race or he's going to have to let the JV race with the varsity team, because I think, maybe I'm wrong, but I thought in both situations, if the JV was racing with varsity, they still won. Then it was just varsity versus varsity. Is that correct, or am I wrong? Hold on.
JV won. Even when they put people down on the JV boat, JV still won.
Oh, so okay, so then okay, so I guess I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's at the top of the first paragraph of page 9.
Okay, let's see.
In fact, when switches were made, the JV would win by even more, indicating the rower sent down made the JV boat go faster than before.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess it would be like if he wanted to win, he'd have to let the JV team go, which could be a huge blow to the varsity team, but...
But, you know, sometimes hard decisions have to be made.
Yeah. So.
What do you think, Matt?
Well, it's a really tough call, but I mean, if he's there to win, you know, I would choose the JV. But what would that do to the varsity guys?
Mhm.
I mean, are they going to internalize that and learn from their mistakes, or are they going to feel like failures?
Yeah, because I mean, it could almost make that barrier between each player even worse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But, you know, can failure be a good thing? Can it ever be a good thing?
I think so, actually. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I think you learn more from failure than you ever do from success.
But yeah, it would be a hard thing for those JV rowers to, or not the JV, the varsity rowers to lose their position.
Mm-hmm.
You know, is that gonna? Are they going to be the type that, like Matt said, internalize it, or are they going to be the type that they're going to use it to build them up, to learn from their mistakes?
Well, and then another thing I thought of is he could let the varsity team race knowing they were going to lose, and then when they lose, he could kind of, I mean, not to be like I told you so, but he could use an example of of like, you guys lost because this and this reason, because you guys weren't coming together, you weren't unified, but if you guys were like this, you could have won. That is kind of I told you so, which is what I was trying to say.
Either that, or maybe the experience of the competition would actually show them that the competitiveness and being a team is important for next time.
Well, and then I have another thought. Did they race against anyone else besides themselves? It's like just like, hey, fun, let's race another school just for fun, or did they just race against the JV team?
Sorry, my son's saying goodnight to me.
Oh, you're fine.
Hang on, I'm looking really quick.
Because to go along with what Matt was saying, because they could get in the competition, because people can perform differently when they're in the heat of the moment as opposed to like a practice run. And so I almost wonder if you just left them with the varsity, it could be like, hey, we're here now, come on, we got to get it going so we can go. So, I mean, I can kind of see the pros and cons with both sides of letting the JV team race versus having the varsity team race. Although I do think, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think having them have JV and varsity in the same boat would really be an option.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I would go with, so.
Yeah, I think it would be a very hard to learn but effective lesson for the varsity team to learn if they did compete and lose. But we're able to learn something important about each other. It's like it'd be like a Remember the Titans moment, but for rowing, or something, or like some kind of whatever sappy sport movie, or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Are they all sappy?
Like the ones where they actually lose at the end, but then everybody's happy because they won because they tried hard. I don't know. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, no. I got it.
So, it kind of, I was just scanning it again, and it kind of looks like that all of this was just training leading up to the national competition, and that the coach had hopes that they would make it to the finals in the national competition.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't sound like they had been racing other teams, just each other.
Gotcha.
Well, the thing is if he's trying to get to the finals, that would kind of give you the idea that he wants to win. And in that case, you'd have to let the JV team race because clearly they have the advantage over the varsity team. But if, but if he's trying to teach the varsity team a lesson, or to try to help them so they can become better, then it'd be like, I know we're not going to win, but it might be beneficial to them. So, but it almost sounds like in the story that his goal was to win, from what you were saying, Melanie, that they would make it to the final championship.
So, are there any any other ideas?
Well, I just sorry to cut off again. So on page 9, in the first paragraph, last sentence says, Coach P remained confident of the potential of the varsity boat, but he is increasingly questioning whether or not the potential would be realized this season. So part of me wonders if maybe that potential would, become, like hit them, or I don't know if it hits, whatever, but, become a little more actualized during that, that race.
Yeah, but you can kind of see that his hopes were kind of dashed at the end.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Dang it.
Yeah.
They all walk off in different directions.
Right. The case study gave 3 different possibilities for what the coach could do. He could switch the JV and varsity, which we've talked, the pros and cons about that. He could switch individual boat members, and, we've seen how, JV didn't really appreciate that because they were a team and they liked to work together. And then varsity just got mad when they got booted down to JV. But that is still a possibility. Or he could intervene to improve the varsity boat's performance. So if we kind of focus on intervene to improve the varsity boat's performance, do you have any ideas on what he could do as an intervention? I mean, he tried to have the group meeting, but does anybody have any other ideas? And they can be, crazy.
Okay.
Well, I see.
Which I kind of think the music kind of falls under, but.
Yeah, we're all gonna sit and watch Ben-Hur over and over again. There's a lot of rowing in that movie, if I remember correctly. I think maybe they could have done something crazy, like I don't know, like just do like an all-day rowing thing, and don't stop until you love each other or something. I don't know.
So my mom, one time when I was little and my brother and I were arguing.
Younger or older?
My older brother. He's 2 years older than I am. We were arguing, and my mom was just fed up with it. And I grew up in Alaska, and we have what are called Arctic entries up there, and It's basically, you go through the main door, and then it's a small room, like a mud room, and then there's another door into the house, and so you can drop your winter clothes off and keep the cold in without it going into the rest of the house.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So my mom was so tired of us arguing, she put me and my brother in the Arctic entry and made us stay in there until we could be nice to each other.
So torture, like it was.
Oh yeah, it was really cold. And of course you want to make up quickly so you don't have to stand there and, freeze your feet off and everything else. And that's extreme. But, you also hear, I see a lot of stuff on the internet with fighting siblings. You get an oversized shirt and you stick the 2 of them in the shirt and they have to work together.
Oh, yeah.
Or, I had friends who would do nose and toes, where they'd have to stand, nose to nose and toes to toes.
Oh, geez.
Until they could, So there are some extreme interventions that could be done.
Yeah.
But whether or not they would have the effect that the coach would hope, I don't know.
Well, the thing is with only 4 days left, you kind of almost need something extreme because you're not going to have that much time. And so whatever you have, whatever you're going to do, it almost has to be something that's going to stick. And, it's almost like, I guess the only thing I compare it to is, so like, So you know how your mother has that way that she looks at you that no, she's never said anything. You just know you're screwed. Sorry, you know you're in trouble. Like I mean, like he almost needs something that he can like teach them or do to them, where it's almost like where it just sticks so well that it's like if we don't do this, you know, he won't even have to say anything. We just know that we've screwed up. So I mean, it almost needs to be something extreme of that manner. So.
Yeah. Yeah, something extreme.
So did you guys read the rest of the story?
Yes.
So you already did read the rest?
The rest of the paper?
No, the rest of the story. What happened?
Yes.
Matthew read it?
Well, wait a minute. The rest of the story, what do you mean? There was only 11 pages. Was there more to the story that I didn't read?
Well, there's more that I have, because I'm the team leader.
Oh, no, I didn't read yours.
So, Matthew, did you?
Nope, I just got as far as...
Okay.
You know,
was that under the discussion leader only?
Yes.
Oh, okay. See, that one I did not read. I just read. I read mine, and then I read your writing assignment.
Okay, so this is what happened. What Coach P decided to do. He took an extreme measure, and he took his varsity team and he paired them up, and he told them that they had to wrestle each other for 90 seconds. And that there was no kicking or hitting, but they had to wrestle with each other for 90 seconds. At the end of 90 seconds, he switched them up to a new partner and, you know, had to wrestle another 90 seconds. And he did it again. And then something interesting happened. The boys started to really get engaged in this activity. And they started to call out, you know, to the teammate, you, I want to wrestle you. And pretty soon, you know, it was a melee. And they were having fun, and they were laughing, and ended up in a big heap. Okay? And so that was the breakthrough that this team needed. Coach P raced the varsity team, and they won. Yay! Yay! Yay, varsity team. So.
All right. I like it. It's not a singing competition, but I still like it.
So why do you think that this response worked? Why do you think the wrestling worked?
It brought them closer together. Maybe more camaraderie. You know, I was not a wrestler in high school, but I have a lot of friends and cousins and people that did wrestle, and I've always known them to be pretty straightforward people. So. I don't know, for some reason it seems, especially in this situation, it seems like it maybe loosened some tension, blew off some steam maybe. And I don't know, guys are weird that way.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple. They're, let's just have at each other and then that's it. You know what I mean?
Well,
so I want you to...
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Kim.
Well, I was going on the same along the line with Matt. I was talking about. So I was upset with someone. I don't remember who it was, but she had said something, and I had my feelings hurt. And we just sat there, and my husband made some smart comment like, "Can't you just go hit her and be done with it?" And I'm like, "I'm not gonna hit her," But so part of me wonders if it's just because like Matt said, sometimes just that physical, just stuff like that can. Blow off a lot of steam, or and I don't know, maybe it's just a guy thing.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I want you to think about too the physicality of these guys. What did the case study tell us about their athletic prowess?
That they were basically like the best of the best, like just to be on varsity.
Okay.
And that they had to be. Well, basically, like rowing 2,000 feet was like equivalent to playing 3 basketball games, right? So you had to be pretty fit.
Yeah.
Not like me.
So
right now.
when they were wrestling each other, they discovered that they were evenly matched, right? Nobody was winning the wrestling match because they were evenly matched. And so this proved to them, once and for they they were wrestling somebody who was just as strong and just as good as the other. And so that also helped wipe away any of the blame that we had seen and the criticism.
Yeah.
Because they were all evenly matched with the wrestling. What do you think? Yeah. What do you think we can learn from this approach that we could apply to a team in a business setting?
Well, you know what I don't know, maybe I'm, I think just maybe seeing the value in other people, like the value that other people have to bring to the table, because everyone is intelligent.
Acknowledge that everybody has something unique to offer, and that as a working machine, you've got to have all your parts in order, and that sometimes that means moving people around. In a business setting, maybe you've got a guy in quality control who would be better in R&D or something like that, and so that kind of makes me think about that.
I like that. Everybody does. They all have their own strengths and their own weaknesses. But if you can bring it together, you're going to find that your strength is going to complement somebody else's weakness. Mm-hmm. And that, you're going to fit together like a puzzle. And you just have to find those qualities and see what you can do. Maybe you're not going to be the strongest presenter, but man, you can sure put together a slick PowerPoint presentation, and somebody else on your team is a better public speaker and can present it. So I think you just really need to learn to work with what you've got and not spend so much time focusing on, well, so-and-so can't do this and they can't do that, and I can do it better than they can, and yeah.
Well said.
Okay, so that is basically our discussion. We have just a final wrap-up really quick. What is the most important thing that you learned from this case study?
That it's probably too late for me to start a rowing team.
Darn it.
No, yeah. I think that in any situation we find ourselves in where we're having to interact and rely on other people, building the relationship. I mean, even in our group now, we need to get to a point in any group that we're in throughout our lives that that we need to consider everybody else's either opinion or what they can offer, because you're not going to succeed without accepting your part and then respecting other people's parts, I guess. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's connected. The page I was looking at, there's that big word team, teamwork on page 3. And that's why I think it all just comes down to, just working together as a team. And that can be, that can be like in your marriage or in, in anything in a group or in work or anything. You have to be able to work with others. And, there's, I don't know, I lost my train of thought. But, it's just important to realize that everyone has something they can bring to the table, so be respectful of others and what they offer.
Yeah, and be open.
I repeated you, Matt. Sorry.
No, it's good.
What were you saying?
I was just saying to be open.
Mm-hmm. That's actually, it's funny. In my other class where I did a presentation on the Johari window. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the Johari window.
No.
So what it is it's basically, so it's the square, and it's 4 windows. There's open, hidden, blind, and unknown. and each square represents something different. So like like open is like stuff known to you and known to others. I think hidden is like stuff known to you but not known to the others. Blind is stuff that's known to others but not to you, and then unknown is stuff that's not open or is not known to either you or others. So like it could be like,
I've seen this before actually.
Yeah, and you talk about being open, but the thing is I think the more open you are with people, you become more personal. People seem to want to interact with people that are more open than people that are a little more secluded, I guess.
Uh-huh.
So that's why I liked your part you brought about being open.
Yeah, interesting.
So for me, the thing that I took away from this story is I need to try harder to be a better teammate. That I need to not point my finger all the time, or come home, and I don't literally do that. That I come home and I complain to my husband about a member of my team that just drives me absolutely crazy. And I need to be more accepting of her quirks and figure out how I can work with those rather than be frustrated with them.
Mm-hmm. That's a good idea.
Awesome.
So how would you rate the overall quality of our discussion today on a scale of 0 to 10, with 10 being the best?
I enjoyed our discussion. I thought it was cool. I learned stuff I didn't notice in the story. Or, stuff I did notice, but the things you guys said kind of expounded my knowledge. I thought we did well.
Yeah, I think we deserve a 10. Or at least you do, Melanie.
Oh, yay! That's my next question. No. What did I do as a discussion leader that you liked?
I like how you led the discussion, because I have a really bad tendency of going off my own little world, and I really thought you did well of bringing me back to, okay, this is what we're talking about. So I appreciated that.
Thank you.
Yeah, you followed the format.
Awesome.
Very well. Yeah.
I stick to the rules. I'm not a rule breaker.
Hey, that's not a bad thing.
Is there anything I can do better next time?
Either get yourself faster internet or get me faster internet. No, just kidding. I don't know. Let's see.
I don't have any.
You're pretty prepared, yeah.
Yeah.
Keep it up, yeah.
Okay.
That I will say, being in a group, it is nice to have people that are prepared and are ready to discuss the topic. So I do appreciate the fact that you came prepared and everything, and you answered the story of what really happened, or you answered what really happened with the team. So I thought that was cool to find that out.
So I wonder if that's kind of going to be the format going forward, is that the discussion leader will have what happens next, or the rest of the story, as Paul Harvey used to say. And I'm going to have to restrain myself from looking at that, because I want to know the rest of the story. And now that I know that it's there.
Well, sorry to disappoint you, but it is not there for next week.
Oh.
Maybe not yet.
Well, because now that I know that it's there, I'm just going to figure out what happens next, because I want to know.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll just make up my own then.
There you go. Make up your own little
really
story.
Happened.
So if you want to go and read, the whole rest of the story, it's really only a couple of paragraphs, and you can get to it. There's a link in that discussion leader prep. If you're interested, I hope I did a good job summarizing it, but just in case I missed any little details and you're interested, you can go back and look.
Okay.
So, the other thing that we have, too, is the doohickey problem thing. But I kind of feel like maybe we should attend the class discussion tomorrow, and maybe we can meet later this week for, just a quick 20, 30 minutes or something.
Yeah, that's
to kind of
fine.
look at the doohickey problem more.
I started a Google Doc so we can
I got that, thank
put our
you.
ideas in there as they come.
So my thing with that whole doohickey thing is the case that we're supposed to read about the doohickey, is that actually was in like the first week of school? Is that the case that we're supposed to read?
No, it's in this week.
Yeah.
It is?
It is. It said doohickey.
It's about
Do you
BYU.
remember?
Directive.
Well, because if you look on the thing, it says click here to view the doohickey problem. So I clicked on it, and it brought me up to course, and it says doohickey problem. First viral team assignment.
Yes.
So
Yep,
it's that
and that's
one.
what it brought me to as well.
Okay, so
it's
basically we're just reading that case then.
Pages.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, then I'll just print it off or something.
So the thing that is kind of confusing to me, and that's why I'd like to get some more clarification on it,
Okay.
is I printed off the problem it brought me to, and the actual case study is only 3 pages long. And didn't he say last week something about a 5 to 7 page paper on the doohickeys?
That's the writing we're supposed to do.
That we type up our response.
I know, but how do you get a 5 to 7 page response off of 3 pages of information?
Well, so here was my thought. So if you look at it, so we're basically required. So let's see, where's that? Okay, so we have to choose 3 problems, and off those 3 problems, we have to give 4 solutions for each problem. So we're basically writing 12 solutions total. And then it says we have to write a paragraph describing each of those 12 solutions. So if we're only writing 12 paragraphs, I can see how that could get that long. I don't think that he's going. It needs to be 5 to 6 pages. I think he just has kind of maybe seen in other classes, hey, this is kind of what I've seen. Then theirs has been this long. But I think if we cover the solutions, or if we give the 3 problems and cover the 12 solutions, I think we'll be okay. Because it doesn't say anything anywhere about like font or spacing or length. Unless it does in the rubric, but I didn't see it there either. So it just says paper includes a thoughtful, detailed analysis of the most important issue. Yeah. So, and then 12 total.
Well, and maybe this is something that we can all, cover just back and forth texting and emailing and using the Google Doc that Matthew set up. And,
Well, and then go ahead. I'm sorry, Melanie.
It does say on here the team must meet for at least a half an hour to introduce each other and talk about how the team plans to function. But I kind of think that maybe we can do that, on the other avenues.
Well, okay. I was thinking, and maybe we said this, we meet on a weekly basis anyways, and I really like to plan ahead because I've had way too many things happen in life where I'm not prepared. So, I'm thinking if we meet every week, why don't we just slowly start to work through the problem? I mean, we would have to do it all in one meeting, but if we slowly start tackling things that way, that week of the doohickey, it won't be like we're tackling the doohickey this week and we're tackling group discussion this week, because it could be really rough based upon what other assignments you have to do in class.
Well, is it next week, week 4?
Next week is week 3. Yeah, next week is week 3. So,
okay.
And doohickey is week 4.
Okay, I didn't know if he literally meant week 4, because next week is the 4th week of school, or if it was week 4 in the course schedule.
Yeah. So if you go to week 4, it's right there. It says assignment doohickey problem. And then inside there's when you can submit it.
Okay.
And it's due October 17th, which would be, come on, calendar.
2 weeks.
Yeah, so not this week or next week, but the next Saturday.
Okay. Okay, so, good, because I was thinking it was due next week, and I was getting a little concerned about not knowing what to do with it. So we have time.
Yeah. But you mentioned meeting later this week. I mean, if you guys want to meet later this week and we can start working on it, that's fine with me. If not, that's fine too.
Okay. Well, let's see what he has to say tomorrow night.
Okay.
And if we feel like we need to circle back for a quick meeting, then we'll set something up.
Sure.
Does that sound good, Matthew?
Great.
Because it is conference weekend.
Oh, that's true.
What's conference?
Can't watch conference. Well, let's see. When you have little kids, you don't know what it is because you can't listen to it. And when you have older kids, why do we have to watch conference? This is so stupid. So it goes both ways. But at least the older kids, I can make them be quiet.
I slept through so much conference when I was a kid. I used to, I lived in Rexburg, so we just have it on TV. So I would tell my mom I'm listening to it. I'd grab my Walkman.
That's funny.
I'd plug it in and lay on the couch, and 2 minutes later I was out.
We do a really big potluck breakfast with a big group of friends.
Awesome.
For conference, so usually.
We drag our kids to church because then they have no other choice.
Yeah.
But to watch it.
One thing that has worked for me and my kids before is I have a bag of candy bars, the mini candy bars, and we watch it at home, and I put it on pause at the end of every talk, and then they have to tell me something that they learned from the talk, and if they can tell me something, then they get a candy bar.
Oh.
So what are you doing this weekend? I'll come visit you. Just kidding.
Yeah, you want to come visit me this weekend? What kind of candy do you like?
Yes.
It's an early Halloween trick or treat.
If you get some, oh crap, what's that pretzel one?
Oh, Take Five?
Take Five, yeah, I'm there if you have some Take Five.
That is my son's favorite candy, the one who's at MSU in Bozeman, and in his last care package I did send him a bag of Take Five bars.
Yeah, they have them in a big bag now.
Yeah.
My mom would send them to me on my mission.
You can get them at Sam's Club in unwrapped, like bite-sized bars.
Yep, I've seen those.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
Man.
Not that I like candy or anything.
Awesome.
Chocolate? Someone say chocolate? Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everybody for showing up tonight. We're gonna have to figure out something with Leslie. I'm not sure what. I'm sure it was a technical difficulty.
Yeah.
But I don't know how to make it any better. But I will look at potentially getting a Ethernet cord for mine, which will hopefully make it run better.
Okay.
So.
Well,
I'm getting 45 megabits per second right now, so.
Sweet.
It's got to be something with her internet.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I haven't had an issue with the US all evening. But I was thinking, for Leslie, at least, because I always feel bad for those who have technical difficulties or those that just don't show. And so I've always said, like, if you could just email me your responses, because at least it showed that they put the time in, maybe, because then they get some sort of credit because it shows that she did put the effort forward. But that's just my personal opinion. So it's up to you.
No, that's good. I will put a link to this again in our group, and then I'll list the main questions that we discussed. And if she, say, I'm sorry you had technical difficulties. If you would like to answer these questions, then you can, it at least shows that you had some interest in it.
Yeah.
Or I'll say it nice. I'll say it nicely.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
All right. Cool.
Yeah. All right. And Kim, you said you're going next week, or was that Matthew?
I'll take it next week. Yeah.
Cool.
I'm
good with week 3. So, all right.
Sounds
You guys
good.
all have a wonderful evening.
Thanks. You too.
All right.
All right.
Nighty.
Bye.
Good night.